After a positive week, building was 3 wins for the Raptors. It all falls apart yet again to the Atlanta Hawks, as even though it looked close maybe in the end, the Raptors really did not show up here. We're going to break it down for you in tonight's post-game show. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour here for the Raptors post-game show as the Raptors lose to the Atlanta Hawks 114-103. The Atlanta Hawks get out to a massive 18-point lead early on in this game, and from that point on, the closest the Raptors made it was 7. It always felt like we were there. It wasn't out of reach. It was there, but the entire game, we were down by like 7 to 12 points. There was a brief pocket in the third quarter where they got it up to a 18-point game again, but pretty much all throughout the game, the Raptors were right there, it seemed, but they couldn't get enough stops. They couldn't get enough makes. They couldn't get enough consistency in any area of the game. A lot of individuals don't show up, and it felt a lot worse than a 114-103 game. And this is granted, again, coming from the fact that you had that early spell in the game that was so bad that you had to mount such a outrageous sort of effort to get even back into it at all. But the Atlanta Hawks, they were comfortable. The entire game, the Atlanta Hawks were comfy. And the Atlanta Hawks better record than us. This is a bad Atlanta Hawks team. And I'm going to explain why here. Atlanta Hawks, look, they have a better record than the Raptors. I understand that. No Bogdanovich for them, no Capella for them. Second night of the back-to-back. The Atlanta Hawks in this game, like the Raptors, were favored by 7 points here. 7. Like, pretty fair margin. 7-point favorites in this one. And people are talking about, like, oh, wow, we beat the Charlotte Hornets. People are so impressed. Like, those are the games you're supposed to win. Of course, this is a game you're supposed to win because the Atlanta Hawks, 7-point underdogs. The Charlotte Hornets were 7.5-point underdogs to the Raptors. So the Raptors were favored in both games against the Hornets by 7.5 points. So relative to the betting market, the Hawks only get half a point of extra respect in this matchup here. Now, granted, that is based on Raptors maybe taking a turn for the better, seemingly. Hawks on the second night of the back-to-back. Clint Capella injured, Bogdanovich injured. All these factors go into it. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you perceive the Charlotte Hornets games as easy wins for the Raptors, well, I got news for you. This is one that should also have been perceived as an easy win for the Raptors. But as we saw, it was far from that based on the way the Raptors played all throughout this game. The offense overall, in the end, it wasn't good. You had a lot of individual performances that weren't good. You had one really good shining light performance, maybe like more than one. You had a few good performances here, but it's not enough. And the reality is the defense was diabolical all throughout this game. Fred VanVleet was, oh my goodness, a pylon for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. They were hunting him, exposing him every possession pretty much. OG was a ghost in the first half. Gary Trent was providing nothing. The defense was so inexplicably horrible for this team all throughout the game, and that's why it was so comfortable in the end for the Atlanta Hawks, and credit to them, their star guys, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, balled out and exposed us all throughout this game. 48 straight minutes of the Hawks having whatever they wanted on offense. They came down in the fourth quarter. The Hawks did not have a good fourth quarter up until that point, shooting like 58% from the field. They ended up above 50 from the field, 40 from 3, 90 from the line. Like, they shot 50, 40, 90 here. Obviously, you don't control the free throws, but the way they shot all game, it was a testament to their shot making, which was impressive because there were some tough shots in there, but it's also a testament to how poor the defense was from the Raptors, and in particular, the point of attack defending from VanVleet in particular, specifically. And also OG Anunoby, who is not exempt from criticism from this game either. But Fred, disaster on both ends of the floor. This is a game where Fred just not playing, period, probably would have made the Raptors a little bit better. Going to the box score here, it's an off night for Siakam. He fouls out on a pretty horrific 6 foul call. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway. 15, 7, and 6 on 5 for 16 shooting. Like, it's an off night for Siakam, but that's still not, that's not horrible. That's fine. You need better from Siakam, but he's allowed an off night, and this is what an off night looks like, then you can accept that. OG, offensively was okay. Defensively, like I said, it really wasn't good from a guy who was a DPOY candidate not too long ago. It's just an off night again. That's not a knock on his ability as a player. Barnes really showed up today. You really got the effort from Scottie Barnes. And there's been games where he was like the odd man out. Well, today was the opposite. He was the guy on. 27 points, 9 for 16 shooting, 12 rebounds. When this guy is engaged and aggressive, he can really be a difference maker. But there were so many bad performances. 2 of them come from the other 2 starters. We'll go to Gary Trent first. He only gets 20 minutes because of how bad he was in this game. He finishes at minus 17. That is the worst in the game. 7 points, 2 for 7 shooting. Fred VanVleet was the worst player on the court by, I think, a significant margin today. He was 1 for 9 from the field. He had 3 points. He was a statue on defense. They were hunting him because they knew Fred VanVleet couldn't do anything. And it wasn't anything pretty from Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, specifically Trae Young, to get by him. There was a play at the end of the second half. Trae Young just ran by him straight up. Fred couldn't do anything. He was a minus 16 in this game. You got some decent bench minutes. Boucher and Achua got decent minutes here, and they both played well. Achua seems to be turning a corner. Achua smoked a layup late that maybe would have made a difference, but overall, a good game here from Achua, a good game from Boucher. Boucher, it's all energy, but sometimes it's what the Raptors need. The team stats are going to show you where this game goes wrong, and you shoot 41 from the field and 24 from 3. So not only was your defense subpar, so was your shooting. They shot 51, like I said, 41 here, 94, 50, 40, 90 game for them. Turnover-wise, you commit more turnovers, which is rare for the Raptors to do, but a disaster game, really. The Hawks comfortable all throughout this game, and it just feels like, the Raptors had turned a corner this week a little bit. I get it was the Hornets, and you had 2 games at the Hornets you're supposed to win, right? We haven't been beating teams we're supposed to beat. So it was nice to win 2 that you were expected to win, right? And beyond that, the offense looked so impressive in those 2 games against the Hornets and against the Blazers. The offense was excellent against the Portland Trail Blazers overall, the way the ball is moving. But when it felt like the Raptors were turning a corner a little bit, just maybe turning a corner, those were the anomaly games where they played well. This just seems like back to normal. I spoke about the defense and how poor it was, how disorganized it was, but the offense, the way the ball was moving all week, it was so fun to watch the Raptors play on offense. Today, back to just the awful, slow, half-court, ISO-driven offense. There was a nice play I remember in the first half. Malachi Flynn ran a nice pick and roll with Precious Achua. But I can't remember another time we did something so successfully. The schemes are not there. It was boring, bland, tasteless on offense. And like I said, that's just the norm for the Raptors this season. That just is what we are. We haven't showcased consistently that we can be different or better than that. That has been the norm for the Raptors. This is the normal. A bad performance. We've seen so many of these performances that it's time to suggest, is this what we are? Are those wins the anomalies? And I'm starting to think maybe that is the case. Like I said, 7-point favorites. This was low-hanging fruit that the Raptors should have taken advantage of and gotten to 3 games under 500. Now you're 5 games under. As far as, everybody's going to ask me, Jacob, what do you think? Should they tank? Should they go for it? The way the NBA is right now, 10 teams have hopes of making the playoffs because there's a play-in tournament. Every team has a lot longer to decide what the season is going to be for them. As a result, the decision-making takes a lot longer. So decision-making, not just from the Raptors, but from every team. I'm not suggesting I want to be in the play-in tournament. Every team, other than the Raptors as well, has all of these decisions to factor in when it comes to the trade market. So the NBA trade market this year, it's been boring. I think somebody told me only Noah Vonleh was traded. There's only the one trade. Was it Noah Vonleh from the Celtics to the Spurs? Then he got waived by the Spurs. That's the only trade because teams are waiting. They're waiting to see what this season is going to be. The Raptors are going to do the same. You know, I'm not going to lie in saying that part of me is leaning towards, yeah, I'd like to focus on more of a draft pick, for sure. But I also see the appeal in trying to win some games. The decision-making is going to take a little bit more time. People have to be patient with that reality. Raptors just ended their homestead. A good chance to win a 6 winnable games. They win 3. Really isn't good enough. Now we go on an away trip. Big away trip. You get the Knicks, Bucks, T-Wolves. Then you're back at home against the Celtics and Knicks. Then you get the Kings, Warriors, Blazers, Suns, Jazz, Rockets, Grizzlies. Big Western Conference road trip to end off the trade season. February 5th. I think this is your countdown. Once you get to that point, you see what you are after that Western Conference road trip. That is going to be where you're going to make your decisions ahead of the February 9th trade deadline. I get that people want action. It's just not a league that's going to be driven by action for the next couple of weeks. You have to bear with this process and probably watch some ugly basketball in the meantime. But wow, that was bad. That was bad. I honestly got fooled. I don't know if I got fooled, but I definitely felt. I know it was just the Hornets, but the way they were playing was different. The vibe seems off, but the way they were playing seemed different in those 3 games. I know it was the Hornets and the Blazers. The ball movement was different, though. They were playing so much more as a team. And somehow, just completely out the window today. I don't know how. I have no idea how that happens. This is disappointing. I think this is... I don't know if this is the worst, but this is either the worst or closest I felt to be the worst I felt that is this season. That was a really disappointing performance. That's all I can say. I feel like a disappointed dad, where it's like I'm not mad. I'm disappointed because I am mad too. I thought I was numb to these games, but that felt different. I really felt like we were making a turn here, but evidently not. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure you drop a like. So it supports the channel, supports me, helps me feel better. And hey, if you want to see more content just like this, we do it for every Raptors game pretty much. So make sure you're subscribed, support Amateur Hour, and I promise you will not regret it.